no less than 50,000 U.S. troops are in the region. If cornered, Iran could fire all of its missiles at once at Israel. That could be a carpet bombing of up to 2,000 ballistic weapons, probably as a preemptive strike. Trump's stated preference for a negotiated settlement with the Islamic Republic is looking less and less likely to be reached. Subscribe to the channel and invite people in your sphere of influence to do the same. Doing so helps us spread top-quality reports about and from the world's only Jewish state and the global front of worldwide news. It also helps ensure that you don't miss new reports. All of us at Tipping Point thank God for your partnership in spreading the truth about Israel, especially in such a time as this. Reporting from Israel for EndTimes.com, this is Brian Schrauger. After last Wednesday's 3-hour meeting between U.S. President Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu, it appeared that, for the first time since Trump took office 1 year ago, there was daylight between the two leaders. In its aftermath, information about the meeting was sparse, very sparse. Trump said this.
Yes.
Mr. President, following your meeting with Prime Minister Netanyahu yesterday, has your thinking changed at all as it relates to these negotiations with Iran?
No, we have to make a deal.
With Iran?
We have to make a deal, otherwise it's going to be very traumatic. Very traumatic. I don't want that to happen, but we have to make a deal. They should have made a deal the first time, and they got Midnight Hammer instead. And this will be very traumatic for Iran if they don't make a deal. Look, if they don't make a deal, then it'll be a different story. But we had a very good meeting yesterday with Bibi Netanyahu, and he understands, but it's ultimately up to me. If the deal isn't a very fair deal and a very good deal with Iran, then it's going to be, I think, a very difficult time for them in the back. I guess over the next month, something like that. Yeah, shouldn't take, I mean, it should happen quickly. They should agree very quickly.
For his part, Netanyahu's comments indicated serious reservations about negotiations with Iran.
סיימתי עכשיו ביקור קצר אבל חשוב בוושינגטון, בשיחה עם ידידנו הגדול הנשיא טראמפ. יש בינינו קשר מאוד הדוק ומאוד אמיתי ומאוד גלוי. כמובן השיחות התמקדו בכמה וכמה נושאים, אבל למעשה במשא ומתן עם איראן. הנשיא חושב שהאיראנים כבר למדו אם יש להם עסק. הוא חושב שהתנאים שהוא יוצר, בשילוב העובדה שהם בוודאי מבינים שהם טעו בפעם הקודמת שהם לא עשו הסכם, שיכול להיות שיבצעו התנאים להשגת הסכם טוב. רוצה לשמוע את דעתי. אני לא אסתיר מכם שאני הבעתי סקפטיות כללית לגבי טיב הסכם כלשהו עם איראן, אבל אמרתי שאם אכן יושג הסכם, אז הוא חייב לכלול את האלמנטים שהם חשובים מאוד מבחינתנו, מבחינת ישראל, דעתי לא רק ישראל, זאת אומרת זה לא רק הגרעין, זה גם הטילים הבליסטיים, זה גם השלוחים האיראנים, זה מוצתה השיחה הייתי אומר, אם כי גם נגע כמובן גם בעזה וגם באזור כולו וגם בדברים כלליים אחרים. בכל אופן שיחה נוספת עם ידיד ענק של מדינת ישראל שלא היה כמותו. תודה רבה לכם.
According to the Prime Minister's website, in the meeting they discussed Iran negotiations, Gaza, and other regional developments. The Prime Minister emphasized the security needs of the State of Israel in the context of the negotiations, and the two leaders agreed on continued coordination and the close bond between them. Other regional developments were only a few minor things like Hezbollah in Lebanon, al-Shura in Syria, Iraqi pockets of pro-Iran militias, and the Houthis in Yemen. In each case, the words were polite, but they seemed to clearly indicate Trump's determination to pursue negotiations in spite of Israel's belief that, for Iran, negotiations have always proven to be a stall for time to build, or in this case, rebuild, arms and allies to attack the Jewish state. It is no secret that Trump's special envoy to the Middle East, Steve Witkoff, along with his senior advisor and son-in-law, Jared Kushner, have pushed the idea that economic prosperity can suffocate Islamic extremism. This ignores or denies that very extremism in the decades-long conduct of Qatar, the world's leading supporter of Islamist jihadism, anti-Semitism, and the establishment of some form of a global Islamic government or caliphate. The only thing economic prosperity has done for the likes of Qatar is to dress it up in a suit, much as the al-Qaeda terrorist al-Shara has done in his new position as the head of Syria's government. The lesson is that economic prosperity does not suffocate Islamism. It empowers and legitimizes it. In the aftermath of Trump's meeting with Netanyahu, it appeared that the U.S. president was leaning toward the counsel of Witkoff and Kushner. That was Wednesday. Then came Thursday. A story broke that morning in the New York Times. It revealed that the largest battleship in the U.S. fleet, the USS Gerald R. was being deployed from the shores of Venezuela to the seas of Iran, where it would join the USS Abraham Lincoln. In effect, it was a move that would double U.S. military assets just off the shores of the Islamic Republic. And that's not all. The B-2 stealth bomber fleet that dropped 12 bunker buster munitions on Iran's underground nuclear program last June has been put on heightened alert. While that fleet remains in Missouri, B-52 Stratofortress bombers have been deployed to the Al Udeid Air Force Base in Qatar. And there's more. A lot more. Take a look at this map published by the Israeli website INSS, the Institute for National Security Studies. All the white icons indicate various U.S. military assets, including submarines, battleships, air defense systems, and 2 supply ships. What isn't pictured yet is the USS Gerald R. It is expected to arrive in the region in about 3 weeks. All in all, no less than 50,000 U.S. troops are in the region, ready to act, including, as needed, special forces units prepped for possible missions inside Iran. President Trump has stated his preference for negotiations with the Islamic State. One clear red line is no nuclear weapons, no nuclear program. For Israel, there's another equally important threat. Knowing Iran's plan to build as many as 8,000 ballistic missiles a year, Jerusalem wants Trump to include no ballistic missiles with a range of greater than 300 kilometers, about 186 miles. Does the U.S. president want even more? In a remarkable shift of public statements about Iran, listen to what Trump said one day later, on Friday the 13th.
What can Iran do to avoid attack? Give us the deal that they should have given us the first time. If they give us the right deal, we won't do that. But, historically, they haven't done that. I will say they want to talk, but so far they do a lot of talking and no action.
When are those talks, Mr. President?
They've already started.
Do you want regime change in Iran?
Well, it seems like that would be the best thing that could happen. For 47 years, they've been talking and talking and talking. In the meantime, we've lost a lot of lives while they talk, and legs blown off, arms blown off, faces blown off. This has been going on for a long time. So let's see what happens. In the meantime, we have tremendous power has arrived, and additional power, as you know, another carrier is going out shortly. So we'll see it out. If we could get it settled for once and for all, that would be good.
Who do you want to take over?
What?
Who would you want to take over?
I don't want to talk about that.
You said inside that the Iranian nuclear sites have been totally obliterated. What's left to go after?
Well, you can get whatever the dust is down there. That's really the least of the mission. If we do it, that would be the least of the mission. But we, probably grab whatever's left. It has been obliterated, as you know.
Would you accept anything less than zero nuclear enrichment?
We don't want any enrichment.
Mr. President.
We don't want enrichment. Thank you very much, everybody.
President, how confident are you that our negotiations with Iran will be successful?
I think they'll be successful, and if they're not, it's going to be a bad day for Iran. Very bad.
Mr. President,
Do you have a deadline for Iran, Mr. President? Do you have a deadline for Iran? Do you have any deadline for Iran?
Kind I do, yeah. America is respected again, and perhaps most importantly, we are feared by the enemies all over the globe. They fear us. And, I don't like to say fear, but sometimes you have to have fear because that's the only thing that really will get the situation taken care of. We have a situation right now where we sent a very big carrier group to Iran. I'd love to see if we could make a deal. They've been difficult to make a deal. I thought we would have had a deal last time. They wish they did, and that's where we did Midnight Hammer.
Hopes for a regime change, a deadline on negotiations, and speaking the only language that works in the Middle East, a fear doctrine? These are remarkable statements. In addition, two unnamed U.S. officials told Reuters that America's military is preparing for a sustained, weeks-long operation against Iran. Probable targets for an attack include all the sites seen here on this interactive map published by the Israeli website, the Institute for National Security Studies. They include missile storage and production sites, nuclear development sites, power plants, IRGC bases, and government sites in the capital city of Tehran. For its part, the Islamic Republic is issuing daily threats of serious retaliation if the U.S. attacks. It also has a clearly expressed plan.
When the Americans threaten to attack us, they should know that our first target will be the Zionist entity. It is within the range of our missiles. It is America's weak spot in the region. Our first target will be the Zionist entity. We're not afraid of the military buildup in the region. We insist that we have targets to retaliate against. We can teach them lessons of historic proportions that they will never forget. The enemy's return to negotiations, America's return to negotiations, is a sign that they fear the capabilities of the Iranian people. If attacked, we will immediately target all the U.S. bases in the region. The countries and governments of the region are our brothers. We have no problems with them, but we will target the U.S. bases in these countries. If America wants to go to war with us, it should evacuate all its bases in the region and leave the region altogether. This is our objective. Our main goal is to drive America out of all the countries of the region.
Israel is taking the threats very seriously, including a so-called nightmare scenario. If cornered, Iran could fire all of its missiles at once at Israel. That could be a carpet bombing of up to 2,000 ballistic weapons, probably as a preemptive strike. Iran knows that if the U.S. launches an attack, one of its first targets will be underground missile storage locations and missile launching sites. There are only about 200 launchers for 2,000 missiles. If taken out and they cannot be fired, it will not matter how many missiles Iran has in its arsenal. That's why, if Iran believes a U.S. attack is imminent, it probably would fire everything it can at the Jewish state before that attack begins. There is a good reason why Israeli military and intelligence leaders have held numerous secret meetings with their U.S. counterparts over the past few weeks. If attacked, Iran also hopes to bring 3 of its proxies into the fight: the Houthis in Yemen, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and Iraqi militias in Iraq. Even though all of these are crippled, any of them could hit Israel with rockets, missiles, and drones. Jerusalem must prepare, and it is preparing. That preparation includes recruitment of other countries to assist in the interception of rockets, missiles, and drones, as some did in April and October of 2024. Internally, Israel is restocking its somewhat depleted interception tools. They include Arrow missiles that can intercept armed warheads descending from the upper atmosphere, David's sling missiles that can intercept rockets, missiles, cruise missiles, aircraft, and drones. Iron Dome for taking out smaller rockets, mortar bombs, and drones. And its latest tool, Iron Beam, a laser weapon able to take down threats with concentrated beams of light. Why didn't Trump launch an attack in January to fulfill his promise to Iranian protesters? And why the appearance of daylight after his meeting with Netanyahu last Wednesday? The latter could have been a feint. In short, taking on Iran is a very complicated matter. With so many ways an attack could go wrong, there was a clear need for complex planning combined with a dramatic increase in U.S. troops and firepower, perhaps intelligence too. When the USS Gerald R. Ford arrives in about 3 weeks, it looks like all needed military assets will be in place. Trump's stated preference for a negotiated settlement with the Islamic Republic is looking less and less likely to be reached. 50,000 troops, an armada of warships, squadrons of fighter jets, nuclear submarines, cargo supply ships, and 19 to 20 bases on high alert dramatically increases the U.S. president's negotiating power, proving he's ready and fully able to act if his demands are not met. If he sticks to his guns, they almost certainly won't be. For the most part, Israelis think there will be a war. Iran will prevaricate until Trump says enough. Then he will finally follow through on the pledge he made to Iran's protesters just over 1 month ago. Help is on the way. If ever there has been a time to pray for the peace of Jerusalem, including ears to hear God's counsel, this is that time. One last thing before signing off. There are a lot of Israel-related stories that don't make it into these weekly video reports. They range from biblical archaeology discoveries to human interest stories to on-location visits, behind-the-scenes insights, and tools for building your arsenal of defense for the world's only Jewish state, the apple of God's eye. Last Friday's post included an essay you don't want to miss and a spiritual warfare tip about praying for one's enemies. Each week's dispatch includes at least 10 top stories from the week, spiritual warfare tips, and reports of anti-Semitic outbreaks around the world. Be sure to read, share, and use the information. Armor up. Reporting from Jerusalem for EndTimes.com, thanking God for you, and until next time, this is Brian Schrauger. Thank you for making the time to engage with this report. To watch future reports without advertisements, and to stay informed with the latest insights from Jimmy Evans, Mark Hitchcock, and experts from around the world, and for only $7 a month, I encourage you, become a subscriber at EndTimes.com. Sign up today.